Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Wanda Webb Holloway. She was the topic of a documentary titled Texas Cheerleader Murder Plot. First, I'll start with the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Wanda Webb Holloway was born in 1954 and lived in Channelview, Texas. The small community, which sits about 16 miles east of Houston, has been described as rough and industrialized. Numerous petrochemical refineries and plants dominate the landscape and the economy of the area. Wanda's father worked in a concrete plant, and her mother worked in a high school cafeteria. When Wanda was 18, she married a man named Tony Harper. He worked in a railroad warehouse, but later became an insurance executive. Wanda did not work at this time. In 1973, Wanda had a son named Anthony Shane Harper. In 1977, she had a daughter named Shauna Harper. Wanda and Tony divorced in 1980. Allegedly, there was a sex drive differential in the marriage. Tony was interested in sex and Wanda wasn't. In the divorce, Wanda ended up with the house and most of the furniture. Tony found himself with a pickup truck, a recliner, and water skis. Wanda married an older man, but they divorced shortly afterward. She reunited with Tony, but that didn't last either. In 1985, Wanda married a man named C.D. Holloway, who was 20 years older than her. He owned an oil field service company and was wealthy. Wanda's lifestyle gave her the time to focus on her interests. When she was younger, Wanda wanted to be a cheerleader, but her father would not allow her to get involved in cheerleading because of his conservative religious values. Wanda pushed her daughter Shanna into cheerleading, perhaps in an effort to live vicariously through her daughter. Shauna honed her cheerleading skills at the Alpha Gymnastics Studio in nearby Pasadena. A friend of hers named Amber Heath went to that same studio. Shanna and Amber already knew each other because they both attended the Channelview Christian School. Amber and her mother, Verna Heath, lived not far from the Holloway residence. Some people who knew Wanda and Verna viewed the women as competitors. Each one wanted her daughter to succeed in cheerleading. In 1989, when Shauna was in the 6th grade, she tried out for the 7th grade cheerleading team at Alice Johnson Junior High School, which is part of the Channelview public school system. To ensure Shanna's eligibility for the tryout, Wanda had transferred her daughter from Channelview Christian to Alice Johnson. When Wanda discovered that Amber was permitted to try out for a spot on the team, she became furious. Evidently, Verna had asked the school board to allow Amber to try out, even though Amber was still at Channelview Christian. The board had approved Verna's request. There were 2 spots available on the Alice Johnson cheerleading team and 3 applicants. Shanna was the one applicant who did not make the team. If Amber had not been permitted to apply, Shanna would have been successful. Wanda complained to the school board, which led to a change in policy. From that point forward, cheerleading candidates who transferred in would have to spend 1 semester in the Channelview public school system before being eligible for cheerleader tryouts. The board did not change Amber's status. She was permitted to retain her spot on the cheerleading team. This ruling did not change anything for Wanda's daughter, Shanna. For the next year, 1990, Wanda was more determined than ever to get Shauna a spot on that cheerleading team. The admission process involved judges reviewing the candidate's performance and students voting. The candidates were permitted to produce campaign badges and hang 2 posters in the halls. No other campaign materials were allowed. That was it. Wanda violated the rules by handing out wooden rulers and pencils, which had the inscription, "Elect Shauna Harper Cheerleader." The violation resulted in Shanna being disqualified. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. Wanda's ex-husband, Tony Harper, had a brother named Terry Harper. Terry had some negative interactions with law enforcement. He had been charged with a few misdemeanors, including driving under the influence. In early 1991, Terry contacted the police and told them a frightening tale about Wanda. Here's what he said. In late 1990, Wanda drove up to the trailer where Terry lived and sounded the horn of her vehicle. When he walked out to see what was going on, she told him that she wanted to talk, but not there. They met at a local convenience store instead. Wanda said that she wanted two people taken care of and did not care how this was done. She was referring to Verna Heath and Verna's daughter, Amber Heath. The purpose of the elimination was to pave the way for Shauna to be a cheerleader. Essentially, Wanda wanted to get rid of the competition. Terry said that he would not do anything like that. In particular, he was offended by the idea of killing a teenager. Wanda responded that she would get back to him. At around Christmas time, Wanda contacted Terry by giving Shanna a phone number to pass on to him. Wanda wanted Terry to find someone who would commit the murders. This is when Terry decided to contact the police. He was afraid that he would be a suspect if Wanda was successful in finding a hitman. The police gave Terry a recording device and told him to record Wanda. They gave him instructions about what to say. He was to tell Wanda that he found a hitman who was willing to kill both Verna and Amber. The price to kill both of them was $7,500, $2,500 to kill Verna, and $5,000 to kill Amber. Wanda may have been interested in cheerleading, but she was not cheering about the price. She decided that she would pay the $2,500 to kill Verna, but not the $5,000 to kill Amber. In her way of thinking, the main objective would still be satisfied. Wanda believed that Verna's death would result in Amber being devastated and quitting the cheerleading team. These conversations between Wanda and Terry were captured on the tape recorder supplied by the police. Ultimately, Terry secretly recorded 6 tapes of conversations. On January 29, 1991, Wanda gave Terry a $1,500 pair of diamond earrings as a down payment, saying, quote, "I couldn't pull the trigger myself, but I can sure do it this way," unquote. The next day, January 30, the police arrested Wanda Holloway and charged her with solicitation of capital murder. Her trial started in August 1991. The state's case was mostly dependent on the secret recordings and the testimony of Terry Harper. His criminal history damaged his credibility on the stand. Furthermore, Terry's wife Marla testified for the defense, saying that Terry and his brother Tony, again Tony was Wanda's ex-husband, had conspired to frame Wanda. According to Marla, this was so Tony could get custody of Shauna. On September 3, 1991, Wanda Holloway was convicted and sentenced to 15 years in prison. As it turns out, this conviction would not stand. One of the jury members was not eligible to serve on the jury. He had been convicted for cocaine possession and had received a deferred adjudication, meaning if he successfully completed probation, the conviction would be struck from his record. The man didn't understand that he was still technically on probation despite this arrangement. Therefore, he was not allowed to serve on the jury. The prosecutors and the defense attorneys did not realize this during the trial. The judge declared a mistrial. After this, Wanda spoke to the media several times, declaring her innocence. She said that she had been framed by Terry and Tony. The state was prepared to try the case again, but there would be no second trial because Wanda negotiated a plea bargain and pleaded no contest. On September 9, 1996, she received a sentence of 10 years in prison with the possibility of being released in just 6 months. On March 1, 1997, Wanda was released from prison. She was permitted to serve the rest of her sentence on probation and had to complete 1,000 hours of community service. After 5 years, Wanda was released from the probation as well. Terry Harper, the key witness against Wanda, died in August 2005 at the age of 50. Now moving to my analysis. Wanda Holloway maintains her innocence, and she has a few supporters. They argued that Wanda may have made a few unwise statements in her conversations with Terry, but he was coercing her to move forward. This was a trap. Wanda was an unwilling participant who never actually wanted anyone to be killed. Wanda's supporters also argued that if a case like this occurred these days, the outcome would be different because in the early 1990s, ambitious women like Wanda were unfairly treated by the media and by the criminal justice system. The state, of course, disagreed. They were convinced that Wanda really did want Verna and Amber to be killed. This brings me to the question, was Wanda guilty of solicitation of capital murder? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that she was guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. Wanda's daughter, Shanna, had failed 2 years in a row to become a cheerleader, and Wanda blamed Amber. Although it wasn't revealed until years after the trial, Shanna indicated that her mother approached her 6 weeks before the arrest and mentioned something about how it would be nice if Verna and Amber were no longer around. Terry Harper told the police that Wanda had approached him and introduced the idea of committing the murders. In subsequent recorded conversations, Wanda made it clear she desired to move forward, and she even provided a down payment in the form of the diamond earrings. When hearing Verna could be killed for half the price of killing Amber, Wanda could be heard laughing. Referring to Verna, Wanda said, "She ain't worth blank, is she?" The blank rhymes with the word trap. At another point, when referring to Verna, Wanda said, "I can't stand the woman. I want her gone." Moving to the exculpatory factors, Terry Harper's wife Marla testified that Terry told her the murder plot was his idea. His intent was to frame Wanda. She claimed that Terry and Tony were working together to get Tony custody of Shanna. Furthermore, Tony did not want to pay child support. Terry Harper was not a credible witness. He had a criminal history and a chaotic lifestyle. Terry had been married 7 times, and as far as employment, he had 15 jobs in the last 3 years. When considering all the evidence in this case, do I think that Wanda was guilty of solicitation of capital murder? Yes, I believe she was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. She initiated the murder discussion with Terry and made a down payment. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. There's this sense that Wanda Holloway did not fit into the rough atmosphere in Channelview, Texas. She was described as very refined, well-dressed, and well-spoken. Some people who knew her felt as though Wanda believed she was too good for Channelview and wanted others to believe that she was better than them. Perhaps Wanda was arrogant, grandiose, or had a sense of entitlement. When she was younger, she was denied the opportunity to be a cheerleader by her father. In the community of Channelview, cheerleading could lead to impressive opportunities. For instance, a college scholarship. Due to the cheerleader route being blocked, Wanda lived vicariously through her daughter Shanna. She wanted her daughter to have everything that she did not have herself, but not necessarily for her daughter's benefit, rather for her own benefit. When Shanna was beat out by Amber during the cheerleading tryout, Wanda's dream was shattered, and she became frustrated. When Shanna was disqualified due to Wanda's violation of the campaign rules, the frustration intensified. Wanda developed a particular contempt for Verna because she viewed Verna approaching the school board as cheating. Every problem that Wanda had was now being blamed on Verna. Wanda said to herself something like, "If only Verna was not in the way, how great would life be?" Perhaps due to a lack of empathy, Wanda added Amber to her list of targets as well. She wanted both the mother and the daughter to be eliminated, so the way would be clear for Shanna. Wanda may not have been completely serious about following through with the murder, but when she contacted Terry, he urged her to move forward. In the recordings, he could be heard coercing Wanda. He was not an unbiased observer. Terry pushed Wanda to deliver the down payment and implied there would be consequences if she didn't. Terry was eager because Wanda getting in trouble would have helped his brother. This may not have been a conspiracy, as Marla and Wanda alleged, but it does appear as though Terry was motivated to help out Tony. Essentially, Wanda found the worst possible hitman. She did not realize that Terry would be loyal to his brother. She gave Terry a way to harm her, and he was happy to accept. Now moving to my final thoughts. One of the most frightening elements of this case is imagining how Wanda would have acted if she had been successful. In theory, if Verna had been murdered, Amber would have dropped out of cheerleading. This would have left a spot open for Shanna. From the stands, Wanda would have been watching her daughter perform and thinking to herself, "How great is this?" That is an incredible level of coldness. Wanda was so focused on her daughter's cheerleading success, killing people was perfectly acceptable to achieve it. Wanda was a determined cheerleader for Team Homicide. Her favorite cheer was 2468, Who Can I Annihilate? Those are my thoughts in the case of Wanda Webb Holloway. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.